like there's so much talent within this community, and Santa goes around and has all these talents and shares them with each other.
Okay, I'm not sure that wasn't really a good question. Hello and welcome to today's podcast of Let's Be Real. And today I have a great topic, and it's really important because it is talking about how to empower our youth, why it is important, how do we do that, and the legacy we leave behind when we shape our communities with our youth in mind. So today I have Megan Cloudman with me. No better person to talk about than her for youth empowerment. So here she is, Megan Cloudman in-house. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Bea.
You are so welcome. So Megan, I have known you for years. Do you remember how we actually met?
Yes, actually I do.
You do?
At the gate at Children's House Montessori when our children were in school.
That's
as
right.
babies.
Yes.
Like way before even Rotary or anything like that.
Yes.
So,
but we always kept connecting, right? So
always.
Through businesses, through community, through events, we always kept connecting.
Yep.
So here we are today.
And even through our horses.
That is true. Yes, I'm an avid rider, and you have a lot of history in.
Yes, ma'am. Horse people are always good people.
I know. Horse people and dog people.
Absolutely.
The best.
So
give us a glimpse into who Megan is and what inspires you.
Oh, goodness. So I am a DeLand advocate. I love this community, and I am so grateful to be able to raise my family in this community. My husband, Christopher, and I actually moved here about 16 and a half years ago by our choice. We saw DeLand, we saw how amazing the community was, all the culture it had to offer, and we were like, this is truly where we want to raise our children. The other part of my passion in this world is youth. And so I am so lucky to have two girls. I have a 19-year-old who is a student at Stetson University now, and then a 15-year-old who is a sophomore at DeLand High School. And I have been blessed to be able to walk right side by side with them in this journey of growing up in this community. And I think we are so lucky to live in a community that is so passionate about our youth. And I love being an advocate for all of them.
Right. Is that why you're wearing green, Bulldogs, and Stetson?
Always. Green is DeLand's color.
That's right.
I will say I have a closet full. Thank goodness it's a good color for me. Yes.
So what would you say a normal day in the Cloudman household looks like?
Oh, goodness. There are no normal days in the Cloudman household. So our mornings generally start pretty early at our house. We have horses. We have 3 at our house, as well as we have several golden retrievers and a nice little flock of chickens. So we have lots of responsibilities before we can actually get our personal day going. So our mornings start with taking care of all of our animals and making sure they're all attended to, and their needs always come first in our house. And that is actually how my kids have always been raised. When we moved here, Emily, my oldest daughter, was 2 years old. And I can remember sitting down. We rented this little house off of Boston Avenue when we moved here. And I remember Chris and I talking about how do we get involved in this community? And we wanted to do something that we could include everyone in our family, including Emily. How do you get a 2-year-old involved in a community, right? So we took our passion for animals and we realized that we could start raising a service dog puppy, and everyone in this family could work together and do it. And so that was kind of our first step out into DeLand, and how we could give back. And the dogs have always played a huge role. We met lots of people through the dogs, and I still work with service dogs to this day. And now we are even more involved here in DeLand. So
yes. So speaking of that, I'm using this as a segue because you shared with me earlier that the developments in your family with your husband being now the DeLand mayor have really been a catalyst for your passions and support your passions and what you are, what is inspiring you so much, which is community and, youth empowerment.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So, when Christopher sat our family down and told us that he was interested in running for mayor and what we all thought about that, everybody was super supportive. It is a great opportunity. We felt that it could bring in some younger energy and new ideas within our community. And he ran a great campaign. We had fun. There were families involved with younger kids learning all about the process of what a campaign looks like and how that works in a community like this. And ultimately, Christopher did become mayor. And once he became mayor, we sat down and decided that I would kind of move more to a part-time working position because there were some projects that Chris and I held near and dear to our heart that I wanted to devote some time to. Number one being our children and how can we be there for them when we've now added a lot of other things to our plate as a family. And so when that opportunity arose for me to step more into a philanthropic role in the community, we jumped right at it. So just recently, one of the really fun things that I absolutely love doing every year is DeLand High homecoming. So my daughter Isabel happens to be the class of 28's class president. And so for the past 2 years, their freshman year and now their sophomore year, they have come and built their float at our home. Now, typically in this scenario, SGA as a group will come and build the float. But Isabel had the opportunity to watch her sister go through high school and saw, I think that's really great that SGA all comes and they have formed this community, but there's a lot more members of the DeLand High community and the class that you represent than just SGA. So as a freshman, Isabel opened up the float building activities of homecoming to her entire class. And lo and behold, we had over 65 kids show up the first year at our home. And so to me, it's important that they all got a good meal every night that they were there. So I reached out to all the parents and we started like a group chat. And as a parent, high school is really hard because you don't really know all the things that are going on.
Yes.
And so it's asking a lot of questions of your kids, and they're not always giving you the information, maybe because they don't know the information. And it also could be because it's not something they're necessarily interested in. So we did this grassroots parents campaign for the class of 28 last year, and we got a really great group of moms and dads together. And so as a group, we made sure they all had dinner every night, that they were there at the house, and that they were also doing more than just building a float. They were making memories together. They were out playing manhunt in the woods.
Right.
They, were meeting somebody new that they necessarily don't have class with. And I was able to step back and look and see these kids all working together for one common goal. And it wasn't all kids that were in one class that were IB or the engineering academy or the FFA or, when high school gets segmented like that. They all represented all different parts of the high school. And last year, the freshman class ended up winning the float competition. It was super fun, and they were so excited. So this year, when homecoming came back all around, they all came out. They all showed up. We ended up doing a family potluck for the class of 28 on Sunday. So all the families joined. And this year, I really was able to just kind of watch. The kids did everything. Freshman year, you're kind of guiding them a little more than what I necessarily did this year. So I sat back and I watched, and there were kids that have never been a part of any group at the high school that would come out. They didn't come out Sunday, but after they heard about it, they kind of showed up on Monday or Tuesday. And I think one of the biggest things to take away from just this specific event is all the youth all want to be part of something. They just necessarily don't know how to take that first step
Right.
sometimes.
Yes.
And we live in this great community that is full of servant leadership. And as the parents or as the adults in this community, it is a huge, I think, responsibility for us to model those behaviors. But I also think sometimes we have to step back and give the kids the opportunity to step into those roles. DeLand is fun. There is something going on every weekend, most of the weeknights. There's always something to do.
This is very true.
But I also think there's so many more opportunities we don't realize for our youth to step up into the roles. Earlier this year at the neighborhood center, they do a great Christmas program, a toy drive. And last year, there was a group of students that stepped up, and they all went, and they got to play Santa for the toy drive. And, the high school has always done a really great job of gathering toys, but this took it a step farther. It's one thing to bring in a toy. It's another thing to physically hand that toy to a peer or to
Yes.
another child. And this year, the kids have already asked, like, what are we doing? Are we doing the toy drive
Yes.
this year? Like,
Yeah.
they want to know. They want to be there to help. Because when they can actually be a part of it and see the results, it's a big deal to them.
Yes. So the whole impact, right, that it has. So I can see your passion coming through and you're so excited. And the example you gave with the homecoming float, I mean, they bring leadership. They work together, all these things that you mentioned. And it's so important because as a community, we really have to come together.
Yes.
I brought 2 teenagers through DeLand High School, and they were very separated from others, from other groups, and not really involved in the activities. And I wish the float building was something that was going on back then.
Yeah.
But I guess it
was
wasn't.
neat to see because this year, the freshman class, the class of 29, they followed suit. And so they opened it up to their whole class as well. And I loved seeing and hearing their stories about all the kids coming out and helping that weren't necessarily part of SGA, but were there because they wanted to be part of their class and be part of that community at their high school.
So how would you say can we bring more events and events to DeLand that would support kids working together, but also developing their leadership so that they can grow outside of their schools and take on leadership roles in their early years?
Absolutely. So one of the super neat things that I don't think a lot of people know about DeLand High School is they actually have a leadership class at DeLand High School. At the end of every school year, applications open for sophomores, juniors, and seniors to apply. And the teacher who has been teaching the class for over 25 years, Mindy Camacho, who was just recently named to the Jostens Renaissance Hall of Fame, really does a phenomenal job of bringing together a group of kids to bring a great school culture at DeLand High. But they're the ones who plan all of homecoming, alumni tea, the parade, prom, the Renaissance Awards every year, all the academic rallies, the pep rallies, is all that group of kids. And so there is an actual syllabus to the class with, different things that they're trying to learn and to teach. And it's been really neat to see some of those kids learn and grow exponentially through that program. But I don't think DeLand necessarily needs any specific events for youth. I think we just need to actually start asking our youth.
Yes. And I agree. We need to not only talk about it, we need to invite them in and really think of our youth in our daily life and in our daily business life and invite them in that way. And you're right. We have so many organizations. We have, multiple Rotary clubs. We have Crew, we have JSL, we have Kiwanis. So there are so many organizations to get involved with, but they may not have ever heard. And I think sometimes we forget that they're young, they're 16, 17 years old.
Right.
How do they ever come across these organizations without somebody, an adult, to introduce them?
Yes.
So I think that's very true.
So one of the really fun things that I've watched over the past couple of years is we have a newer Rotary Club. I believe Sunset is.
I'm a member, charter member, actually.
And I love their model. They're including the whole family. And I think that's so wonderful because to be able to work together on these things as a family and to foster that sense of community and younger children, then they're going to go back to their schoolmates who necessarily not everyone is going to grow up like that, but they're going to share that. And that's going to become common knowledge amongst the youth. And I think when we get to that, when that's the expectation of our youth, I mean, that's amazing.
Yes. I mean, speaking of Sunset Rotary, so like I said, I was there for the club from day one, and so there's two things actually I like about it the most. One is, of course, the family involvement. The kids, they have their own table. They have their own, basically, early act club where they have their own projects going. And they did a pet food drive. They're doing a diaper drive now. And they're organizing that. They know how to apply for their roles, who they want to be, and what their responsibilities are and how long their commitment is for that. And they are working alongside the adults that are guiding them, but they're truly doing the work on their own. So it's really fun to see, and also to blend our events, for children and adults to do them together. So I love that. And the other thing is that doing good in the community and having drives, that's one thing. But what I love is that we have, the fingers in the dirt when we build raised flower beds for the seniors, right?
Absolutely.
We're planting, we're building with them. Last year we made ornaments and we handed them out to seniors. And just having that human connection with members of our community, that's where that's where my passion lies when it comes to community service. I think
and that brings up a really good point because I learned really early on to never ask anyone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And I think that goes for our youth too. So it would be really easy, like if you and I were throwing an event and we were like, oh, well, we need some high schoolers because we need them to clean up the tables and take out the trash.
Yes.
Well, what fun is that? It's necessary, absolutely. But I find that when we're all doing it together, so not only are you and I cleaning up the tables and taking out the trash, but we're also selling the raffle tickets or we're helping with the silent auction and we're all able to do the jobs together, we succeed so much more. And then the kids learn more, but they also have more fun because they don't have the yucky jobs or the jobs that the adults didn't want.
Can you share an experience where you said, and this is why we need the youth at the table?
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure there's many examples, but it's one that stands out.
There are a lot of examples. Okay, this is a good one. When Christopher was running for mayor, Faith Hope and Charity is an organization here in DeLand that works with the city and Main Street. And they have a board of directors. And every year they do a mayor's golf tournament. And a portion of the proceeds goes to Main Street DeLand and another portion goes to grants that the city provides. Well, if you know my family, we are not golfers. So my kids were like, how is dad going to be part of a mayor's golf tournament? And it was like this ongoing thing through the whole campaign. And the girls were like, you know what? We are not doing a mayor's golf tournament if dad wins. Let's do a mayor's rodeo. We're going to turn the golf tournament into a mayor's rodeo. And at the time, I kind of just laughed. They were younger or whatever. Well, fast forward a couple of years, Emily, my oldest, is now on the board of Faith, Hope, and Charity. And what are they planning?
A rodeo.
A mayor's rodeo. And I think that is so cool. It is bringing a totally different event to our community. And we all are going to be able to go out to the fairgrounds. We have a beautiful arena out there at the Volusia County Cattlemen's Arena. And if it comes to fruition, and Faith, Hope, and Charity is working hard on that, I just love that all the adults on that board were like, you know what? That's a great idea. It's different, but it's a great idea. And we are all going to support you, and let's do this together. And I think that type of energy and mindset to try something new really is exciting for everybody to see.
Thank you for bringing up energy, because I'm all about energy.
Yes.
And yes, we need something new. I mean, I'm not a golfer myself. I sometimes wish I was, but I just don't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fundraisers that are always golfing. And I love that there is something else that we can do. I hope that they don't break a leg.
I think it'll be super fun. And we get to see other people's talents and, encourage people different ways. So it'll be fun. And I mean, hello, John B. Stetson Hats. Here we go. Maybe they'll come. Maybe Stetson Hats will come on as a sponsor of the
I like it.
Mayor's Radio.
I like it.
Idea. Look,
okay.
my brain's going again.
Yes. So that was a great story. What would you say is another story where somebody comes forward from the youth and really impressed you because they took a leadership role that was just surprising to you?
Oh, this actually just recently happened, and I got to sit back and kind of watch it all happen. So there is a young man in our community. He is a high schooler at DeLand High, and he's kind of just finding himself. I've known him for quite a while.
Yes.
He's incredibly talented, but he doesn't have that confidence yet about his talents. And he may struggle a little bit in school because maybe it's not that he isn't intelligent. He just hasn't learned how to possibly apply himself yet. But this comes back to float building at our house. He is not a part of SGA, but he showed up Sunday, and then he showed up every day after. And he ended up being the one to design and engineer the sophomore float. And used all the power tools. There were a couple gentlemen that watched and made sure he stayed safe, but he literally was the one that was putting screw by screw into this float. And hey, we need 2 2x4s and 3 pieces of plywood. And, hey, why don't you draw these wings for me so I can use this saw to cut them out? And it was so fun to sit back and watch him
basically
use those talents
and blossom
right and
right in
for
front
his
of
peers to see him in that light as well. There was the class sponsor happened to be there, and she said to him, I had no idea you were this talented, that you had these skills. Do you think you could help me later on in the year with this literacy project? And so I love hearing now he's brainstorming, how he can help at the school in a different capacity, to help the whole student body there. And it's things like that are really cool to see, when you don't know what their talents are until you let them kind of experiment with them.
And he will never forget this experience, and he will be grateful for having the opportunity to go, proud of himself that he actually went, and the trajectory of I want to even go as far as his life may have completely changed through that experience.
Right.
Confidence, and also, I mean, how high school is.
Absolutely.
The peer group, especially today, the pressure, the social groups and the non-acceptance, the bullying, all these things play such a big role, even if you are just ignored.
Yes, I agree.
It doesn't have to be offensive, but just when you are ignored and you are no one, it hurts, and it hurts so many kids. So,
yes. And that's where it just comes down
gives
to
me goosebumps.
That, just asking someone, hey, You want to come hang out? You want to come to be a part of this? Do you want to, I could use your help with, sometimes some of the, I find that transportation is an issue for a lot of them that are younger. Even like the parents will be like, oh, I'm working, they don't have a ride. So if we are more generous with our time and say, hey, you know what, like I can help you with that, or would you be comfortable with me helping you find a ride or something like that?
Yeah.
That's another thing that happens a lot of times. And so, getting carpool systems together. I saw the girls volleyball team. They were all carpooling back and forth after games to my house, and the parents were trying to figure it all out so they could all still be a part of that, And yes, it is more work on us adults.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, it is worth every minute of it.
So I have a ton more questions for you, but I have to ask you some quick questions. I'm going to call this the lightning round.
Ooh.
And I think you're going to have some fun with this.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So let's get started with this. How would you define community? Like, give me one word. How do you define community?
Thanksgiving. Like, community to me looks like Thanksgiving.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an easier one. If DeLand had a DeLand mascot, what would that be?
That is not an easy one.
Okay, how about a meerkat?
A meerkat? Is that what you want it to be?
I don't know. It just came to my mind because meerkats live in communities and they look out for each other.
They do look out for each other. I could see the meerkat being like, I was trying to like find somebody with like a bat, like that. Almost Santa Claus, like, with this basket of gifts. Like, there's so much talent within this community. And Santa goes around and has all these talents and shares them with each other.
Okay, I'm not sure that was a really good question.
Sorry, I'm not very lightning.
Okay, now here's a really very easy question.
Okay,
very easy. Where is a local spot in DeLand where you feel most connected?
Oh, there are two local spots I feel most connected.
Okay.
One is the Grape, the Lucid Grape. That is my jam. There's live music. There's great people. Always amazing food. Just great people and good vibe. Very DeLand. The other place that I feel most connected is actually at Florida Wild Veterinary Hospital. So animals are always perfection in my world. And I've worked there for the past 9 years, and that is family to me. Those people are family, and those animals are family.
Yes.
So,
and what would describe your dream house in 3 words? What would that look like? Your dream house in 3 words. They're like the non-negotiables.
Land, pasture land specifically. I don't know the description, but I want a big kitchen, an open kitchen.
Okay, that makes sense. Gathering, we gather in the kitchen.
Outdoor space. I'm all about the outdoor space. Yeah.
So acreage and then some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it all on.
So Megan, what's your favorite candy bar?
Twix.
Twix. Oh man, I just happen to have one for you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I'm sure you need the energy after all these questions. And that's a wrap. So I want to thank you for coming here and answering all those questions and talking with me about empowering youth in DeLand. And I hope you enjoyed it and take something away that we can do to empower our youth, invite them into what we do in our daily lives, the organizations you are involved in, just bring them because they don't know what they don't know. They don't see what we see every day. They're young and they are our future. And how we shape our youth is how our community will be shaped in the future, which will be our legacy to leave. Thanks so much. Until the next time.